Hello and welcome to Galeblade News. Councils in England have been given new powers to close shops, council events and shut outdoor public spaces to manage local outbreaks of the coronavirus. The Local Government Association hopes the move will avoid the need for stricter local lockdown measures. Leicester, which has been under tighter restrictions since 29th of June, will see some easing in areas from the 24th of July. But the city's mayor has accused Health Secretary Matt Hancock of playing silly games with its local lockdown. Prime Minister Boris Johnson told Friday's Downing Street press briefing that ministers would also receive clearer guidance on where they can intervene to close whole sectors or types of premises in an area and advise people in specific postcodes to stay at home. It has to be right that we take local action in response to local outbreaks. There is no point shutting down a city in one part of the country to contain an outbreak in another part of the country, Mr Johnson said. Government guidance says the move significantly increases councils' powers and as such should be used with discretion. Mr Johnson said the additional powers would allow local authorities to act more quickly in response to outbreaks where speed is paramount, in what he called lightning lockdowns. James Jameson, chairman of the LGA, which represents council leaders in England, welcomed the announcement, saying the extra powers will hopefully lessen the need for stricter measures being introduced locally. Councils know their local communities best and know how to address each unique outbreak, Mr Jameson added. He said that the use of enforcement powers should be an option of last resort and called for more granular level data to be made available to councils to allow them to be better able to act in real time to increases in infection rates. The new powers come amid a row about how lockdown measures were applied to Leicester and parts of the surrounding region. Leicester was the first UK city to see localised lockdown implemented following a spike in cases last month. The city's mayor, Sir Peter Soulsby, has criticised the continued blanket restrictions, saying that 90% of Leicester's lockdown should be lifted. He also disputed the claims made by Mr Hancock that he had declined to put forward suggested changes within the city boundary. Speaking on BBC Radio Leicester, Sir Peter said Mr Hancock had asked him to draw a line on a map in the middle of a Skype call and accused him of playing silly games. Meanwhile, Mr Hancock has called for an urgent review into how coronavirus deaths have been recorded in England after Public Health England said that deaths may have included people who tested positive months before they died. Other UK nations only include those who died within 28 days of a positive test. The publication of the daily death figures will be paused while the issue is resolved, officials said. At Friday's briefing, the PM unveiled plans for a significant return to normality by Christmas. Advice for employers will change from the 1st of August, Mr Johnson said, and people may use public transport for journeys immediately. Devolved administrations in Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland have the power to set their own timings for the easing of restrictions. On Friday, a further 114 coronavirus deaths were announced, taking the total number of people who have died with the virus in the UK to 45,233. So, what do you think of this? For me, it's quite concerning. You never know what's going to happen and how far you can actually plan things. If you are unfortunately someone who works in a different area to where you live, that's definitely a problem, because if they're in lockdown or vice versa, that you're in lockdown, then you're either not able to get to work or get back from work, leaving you and potentially losing your job and being replaced by someone who just happens to be in that local area. Whatever you think, leave your comments down below, like the video if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe.